Classmate mistakes me as working in the park, begins to disclose fetishes. I was studying in the park by my house this afternoon when a cute guy around my age, wearing a sweatshirt from my college, sat down directly next to me. Thought that was kind of odd, especially during a global pandemic, so kind of scooched in the other direction. But then he started talking and he was like, "So, hi, I'm Jose." All stutter why and not making eye contact and everything. I thought it was so sweet that he was this nervous to talk to me, so I took the bait and said, "Oh, well, hi, I'm Tamira." And he says, "Oh, that's a really pretty name. I never would have guessed that would be your name." There was a long awkward pause as I tried to think what I could say in response to that, and he goes, "So, how about a walk around the park?" I thought that's really gutsy to ask, but you know what? I kind of like that. So I said sure and packed up my books and off we went. I figured it was middle of the day, surrounded by other people, so worst case scenario I could always ditch him if things felt shady. So we were walking and he was making more nervous small talk. I was telling him some stuff about my interests and background, asking him about his. He was like, "Wow, I didn't expect you to actually tell me so much about yourself." Wasn't sure how to feel about that, but, alright. He's like, should I tell you a little more about me then? Because it is almost 3 p.m. I figured maybe he had to go somewhere by 3. And I missed him mentioning it. So I was like, "Sure, tell me everything I should know about you." Figuring the whole experience to this point was like a fairy book or sitcom, so I should just keep rolling with it. But then he says, "Maybe we should have this conversation at your place." I thought asking me, a total stranger, to stop what I was doing and take a walk with him was gutsy. I thought what he just said was sleazy. At best. I kind of nervously chuckled as I looked for non-confrontational outs to the situation and said, "Ahaha. We're definitely not going to my place." He says, "Oh, okay. Sure, fine. I didn't mean where you live necessarily, I just meant the place, wherever it is we're going. I'm sure you've got something all worked out. Anyways, I can start telling you. About myself now." "Sure." He was kind of looking around to see if other people were listening and he goes, "See, I'm really more of an ass kind of guy. I have a major spanking fetish. So if you've got any short skirts or what? Forget the non-confrontational exit. I instinctively went, "Stop. This conversation is over." And turned to hightail it into the nearest store. The guy's running after me going, "Wait, what? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I'm sorry. The ad said you were cool with kinks and stuff. I just thought, wow, I'm sorry. Alright." That slowed me down. I'm thinking, did he just say ad? He stopped near me now, catching his breath, going, "Again, I'm so sorry. And look, this may not be the best time to ask this, but am I still gonna be charged? Like for the full time? Even if you're leaving?" So, it took a second to figure out, but to make a long story short, this poor guy was experiencing a touch of pandemic loneliness, so went and hired a call girl off some personal section online. She told him she'd be there in the park wearing an identical graphic tee to mine, and we apparently have very similar features because she described the same height, build, hair, and eye color to mine. Once we got everything worked out, he was especially apologetic and begged me not to speak of the encounter ever again in case we know anyone in common. I'm going to do my best to keep that promise. So instead I'm posting about it under the cloak of internet anonymity because oh my god, I just had to tell someone. I definitely didn't work there, man. If only he noticed earlier that he scored a first date with you. He will notice in about 8 years' time. That sounds about right. I just realized that I could have banged a long-time girlfriend in college but didn't get the hint. At least 20 years passed before I realized what she said meant what she said. When I reflect on my younger days, one thing that regularly sticks out to me is the insane amount of pussy that was thrown at me and how oblivious I was. My worst one, South African girl with a heavy accent and thick hair. I asked what she wanted to do, and she said she was feeling naughty. I had feeling naughty and brushes her hair for 20 minutes before she kind of got sick of my stupidity and explained what she was after. That one still hurts. Sat next to this gorgeous bleach blonde girl for a full semester in college. Looking back, I realized she'd been giving me peep-me eyes that whole time and I never once registered it. Yeah, sure, that's what she was doing. The distinction between peep-me eyes and peep-me eyes can be blurred at times. Working in the park? Oh, working in the park. It took me a minute to realize you weren't talking about being a park ranger. Wow. Speep. Now I feel real dumb as it took me getting to your comment to realize she wasn't talking about park services work. Facepalm. That's the most interesting and original story in a long time. I was expecting a rogue Karen to pop out of the bushes. Or the person he was actually trying to hire. Though the story makes me wonder if he didn't just give his credit card number to a scammer or prankster who described op deliberately and was watching their walk from a safe distance and laughing hysterically. That was 100% my assumption. Pandemic loneliness. I think that goes for most of the human race right now. Well, let me tell you about myself. I had a contractor flirt with me from behind his pandemic mask yesterday. I'm 62. He's 68. As he was leaving, he said he couldn't wait for all this mess to settle as he hasn't been kissed in a year. LOL. It's the beginning of something great. Marrying strangers and then combining households so as to not break social distancing. Suspicious as hell. Did you ask when the correspondence took place? I bet it took place only shortly before you encountered the man while you were already in the area. Someone in the park saw you and gave your description. There's no way this was a coincidence. Yup, that was exactly what I was thinking. Someone pulled a prank on Op and that poor guy. I'm thinking more scam than prank, depending on if he paid up front online. Ooh, fair point, that didn't occur to me. Wow, he got really far as a total stranger on sheer balls. Just sat down, asked for a walk. The madman. Tips for getting a date. 1. Imagine you're meeting a call girl, but you're incredibly nervous. 2. Ask if they want to go for a walk. 3. Stop imagining they're a call girl, and instead ask if she has pets or what type of music she likes. Instructions unclear. Disclosed secret fetishes to random person at the park. He wanted a handemic. Don't we all? I'm thinking someone actually at the park professionally catfished him, giving your description, for their own entertainment. It's wildly unlikely the SW had both your same t-shirt and physical characteristics. I can't help but feel super bad for the guy. You just know that Speep is going to haunt him till he dies. Yes, expecting this guy to post the same story on Today I effed up. I wonder if it was someone pranking him and you knew you went to the park, wore the shirt a lot. Could just be a coincidence, of course. That's what I'm thinking as well. Either that or the prostitute never existed and it was some kind of excuse that went really badly. To be fair, once realized he literally started apologizing. Sounds like a mix-up. But what if apologizing is his real fetish? Damn Canadians. Hey Op, if it makes you feel any better at all. I used to do photography as a hobby/semi-pro, and one day I worked with a buddy of mine to shoot the fetish and fantasy ball, back in Vegas. Saw one of my classmates there, and the next day in class, we were talking about Halloween, and what we did. It comes up that we met at a party. Oh, which one? The fetish and fantasy ball. And that pretty much ended that discussion right then and there. Hey, I don't know if you're kinky or what, or if it was you who told the classmates or them, but generally there's a veil between kink life and real life in kink communities and events. For example, if you see your teacher, or a classmate, or a coworker at a dungeon, you don't say Speep. You don't even talk to them an address that you know them outside of the dungeon. Code of silence. Kinks in BDSM aren't accepted yet, and the public enunciation of them could lose people their jobs, friendships, religious association and more. I've ran into friends on fetish sites and said nothing for a reason. It's their business, not mine. It came up in discussion. And no, I'm not. And I learned that my classmate wasn't, because she referred to them all as a bunch of freaks, which really lowered my opinion of her. A bunch of freaks? Makes me wonder why she was there in the first place then, lol. Goddess, I know. That was my response. I was reading the first bit thinking, odd story for this sub, but then it clicked and holy damn. I almost woke up my whole house laughing. My spouse had to remind me that we have children sleeping, lol. I feel bad for both of you, but I'm also laughing really hard right now. Why did he need a call girl? He just picked up a hot college chick in the park and went on a date with her. Man just needs to do that again without the butt stuff. Or at least wait to bring it up after a few more dates. Yeah, I think do you want coffee? Comes before do you have any short skirts? I feel so sorry for him. He sounds really nice and was so nervous. Also, you seem to have some interest in him. This one win the entire sub. LOL. Something similar happened to me once. I was living in New York City and was about 30 years old at the time. I was meeting a friend of mine out at the bar one night. I got there a little early and decided to wait out front for her. I was dressed in jeans and a long-sleeve t-shirt with my hair up in a ponytail. It was a random weeknight and we were going to a local dive bar. Nothing fancy, no need to dress up. As I am standing there, a few feet from the entrance, I see a group of 20-something guys go into the bar. The last two guys to go in stopped to look at me. One guy said to the other, "Look, there's one right there," and pointed at me. The other guy's face lit up and he started laughing. As they walk in the door, I hear him say, "I can't believe she's a hooker." I just stood there feeling like a jerk. I could not believe what I heard. I have nothing against sex workers / strippers / escorts or anything of the like. But I was newly married. We were trying to have a baby and I was just out to meet a friend. I was definitely not a hooker. I was so mortified that when my friend showed up, I made us go to another bar. I would have still gone in with the friend and just stared daggers at the guy who said that all night, haha. And that, kids, is How I Met Your Mother. The title had me so confused about what type of workers there are in parks and why anyone would find it appropriate to disclose fetishes to those poor people. Lamau. Craziest IDWH story ever. This is hilarious. Poor both of you. Jesus. This made me laugh so hard that must have been so uncomfortable. My guess would be that someone who knows you and knew what you were wearing that day and where you'd be going, so definitely a stalker-ish type, targeted you and impersonated you in that ad in an attempt to embarrass you and possibly get you in trouble and or ruin your life. Especially since you're a college student. I wouldn't blame the guy who responded to the ad, though. He probably had no idea it was a sinister setup, but if by chance he was in on it. Eek. You seem incredibly kind and sweet. I've had something similar happen, but nowhere near as WTF funny. Prior to the pandemic, I was walking out of my corner store gas station when a van full of guys rolled down their window and started motioning for me to come talk to them. I recognized them as living in my apartment complex, but considering it was 4 guys in a windowless van, I got in my car instead. But since they are neighbors, I rolled down my window and stopped as I drove past them. I knew from seeing them around that most of them don't really speak much English at all. Below is an approximation of the conversation that occurred. Me, what's up? Random dude with heavy accent. You business? Me, guessing poorly at what he was trying to say. Am I busy? Random dude, looking excited. Yes. Are you business? Me, increasingly confused. Yeah, I'm going to a movie with friends. Random dude, looking frustrated. No. How much you cost? Me, finally catching on and trying not to laugh. No. Sorry. I'm not in business. Thanks though. I think. Random dude kept trying to negotiate. At one point he actually said, "Please," and I just had to shake my head because I was scared I was going to burst out laughing. Edited for formatting.